And
Okay.
he's already expressed like, oh, I'm going to be committing more crimes after I get out, as soon as I get out.
About 6, 7, 8 months ago, however long it was, GTA 6 was leaked. The entire game was put on the internet, and as much was done, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" All the information was out there. We had screenshots, we had gameplay, we had all sorts of stuff. Um, and I'm not talking about the trailer that was released like a couple weeks ago. I'm talking about there's a big hack that happened not too long ago, and they found the hacker and they have put him on trial, and the verdict for the trial is in. Des, have you heard about this yet?
I did.
Mm-mm-mm.
Crazy.
Well, the GTA 6 hacker is handed, this is thanks to BBC.com, Blabs, which stands for.
What answer would you like me to give? The rated G one or the rated R one?
Whatever first comes to your mind, Blabs.
Well, both do now at the same time. So, British Broadcasting Corporation Dick.
Big Black Kazoo, remember?
There
Do
you
y'all
go.
remember? Was that my first appearance here, I think? I can't remember.
May have been, yeah, may have been. Yeah. Anyways, so the GTA 6 hacker has been handed an indefinite hospital order. Okay. What does that mean? Now, this is a 18-year-old. Now, this is an adult legally, but let's just be real. This is a kid who did this. An 18-year-old hacker who leaked clips of the forthcoming GTA game has been sentenced to an indefinite hospital order. So his name is Arian Kurtaj, and he's from Oxford, England. Who is autistic.
Could have told you that. Someone does something like this, and that's, you have to have some really hyper focused autistic skills to take a Fire Stick and a hotel TV and hack into the GTA server or the Rockstar servers.
So we like we okay. Some of the most incredible people in the world are autistic, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're brilliant.
it's absolutely brilliant. And you say, oh, we talk about like the artistic nudity over on Twitch when we say, oh, the autistic nudity, and it's like, it's just kind of like a funny thing, right? But these are some of the most high functioning, like incredibly focused people on earth. These like super high level, you talk about the spectrum when it comes to autism. And this dude is like so hyper focused to the point to where he's young. They didn't throw him in jail, but what they did do was essentially put him under a hospital order, which I believe hospital order is kind of like more or less the loony bin. Right. I believe, right? That's kind of what it is. Which we did away from. We kind of did away with that in the United States, which is where we see our country now. But he has doctors deemed him unfit to stand trial due to his severe autism. So the jury was asked to determine whether or not he committed the alleged acts, not if he did so with criminal intent. So did he either do it or not? And that's just it. A mental health assessment used as part of the sentencing hearing said he continued to express the intent to return to cybercrime as soon as possible. He is highly motivated, which makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
And with this whole thing. But so he's more or less he's indefinite hospital order, which means like more or less it's a life sentence here until he says he won't do this again. I think the most obvious question, and we'll start with you, Melanie, is this sentence too extreme?
No.
For a hack?
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, this kid could do so much damage. And you just look what happened with the whole, obviously he didn't do it, but the Insomniac hack and stuff, when people's actual information, their passports, all that kind of stuff were put out there. And so I think that we really do have to crack down on these hackers because they're dangerous. Just what they're capable of is very dangerous. So yeah, I think if it was, and if it was only, really the only threat here is, game trailers are released early or whatever. It's not as much of a big deal, but I mean, there's just so much more that someone like that can do. And he's already expressed like, oh, I'm going to be committing more crimes after I get out, as soon as I get out. Yeah, I mean, come on, put him on that indefinite hold there.
Now, Blabs, I know you disagree with this.
Yeah, I do, because let's put it into perspective here. Sure, he definitely hacked into a massive corporation, but because this corporation has so much money and so much leverage, they can basically get away with whatever they want. However, let's look at it from a perspective of a murderer, pedophilia, rapists, all these people who do absolutely harmful things. I think even worse than hacking the software system. Get nothing compared to what this kid is going to get. And also, I kind of want to know, and I haven't been able to find this out, was he 18 at the time of the hacking, or was he 17 and is now 18? Because, like, if he was 17, then he's a kid during that stuff. So it's like, well, that kind of changes stuff also. And he was part of a gang, too, from my understanding. So what if he was coerced into doing this stuff, too? There's, like, a whole lot of stuff here, and I disagree with this whole life sentence.
Well, but the thing is it's since it is indefinite, it's not necessarily life. It's only life if he keeps posing an actual threat.
I still compare this with like murderers and things who get out like a slap on the
Murderers
wrist.
should have way stricter though. They should.
Well,
I
yeah,
do
but
agree.
that's the reality is they don't. So until they do, this kid should not have to have the same type of trial and error that he's doing
I just see there's so many menaces who do stuff like this. Like well, this been like almost a decade ago. I had one of these like autistic type hacker kids hack me, dox my family, and say send me nudes or I'm leaking all this on the internet. And I ignored him, and so he did all that. My parents still have to deal with credit card fraud and people trying to make accounts under their names and things like that. And they have, I mean, thankfully they have locks on their accounts and all that. But the kind of damage that these kind of kids do is a lot more severe than what we're seeing just from like, okay, here's a leaked trailer or something. I do think that especially when you're look at streamers who keep getting swatted, look at all of this stuff happening. I think this has to be taken very seriously or it's not going to stop and it's going to keep getting worse.
Like, I agree with you, but until I find that like murderers and all these absolutely horrible, disgusting human beings get the actual sentence they deserve, then I'm going to say he does not deserve that.
I understand.
That's my
I
stance.
understand.
And it's obviously very personal to you, Mel, and I think rightfully so, right? That if you've experienced something like this, and I do want to point out that it says he will remain in a secure hospital for life unless doctors deem him to no longer be a danger, right? So it's life with an asterisk next.
Right,
next to
exactly.
it. Des, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this is actually an interesting time has come up because I've actually been dealing with a nutcase the last like few weeks. So I won't go too much into detail right now because I feel like I have to kind of be careful, but I'm kind of in a similar position right now that Melanie's been in. And it's been pretty scary. Like it's been pretty awful. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards Melanie's take on it. I do understand where Blabs is coming from. And, I hate I've talked about how much I hate our court system. Like it's so messed up and it's so unfair how some people can get away with nothing and other people, get the hammer. So it's, but I don't know if that's necessarily a reason just because there are unfair verdicts to not come down harshly in this case. I will say, I wish he had just like put his efforts towards like corrupt politicians and like,
I know,
like, you know what I mean? Instead of this, but
Epstein list.
Right.
And it is kind of like, I mean, like, and like in the thing where it said he was violent and being, I mean, like that is pretty scary to like be dragged away to a mental hospital. I'd probably be violent too. Like, get me out of here. So I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings about it, but I definitely feel like people need to take cyber stalking way more seriously for sure.
Right.
Because there's a lot of repercussions that can happen for innocent people.
Some people too just ruin their children and those children will be menaces for the rest of their lives. Like that's reality, unfortunately. And that really falls a lot on the parents. And it's sad, but it's also reality.
It's amazing to kind of see the different perspectives on this, right? I think that, to hear like the fact, Melanie, you've dealt with this personally. Des, you're dealing with this personally. Blabs, I hope you never have to deal with this personally. And I've dealt with this on a different level a long time ago. It wasn't obviously to this level, but I personally feel that's a little extreme, right? But more or less what they're, as far as the sentence goes, I feel like kind of a life sentence asterisk is extreme in this case. I do think that as was pointed out in the chat, the idea that it's the UK. At some point, they're going to like be like, okay, he's learned his lesson, because they're pretty laxed with a lot of this. So, but I also think that's like a very dangerous sentence. The idea that like we're going to keep you here till we feel that you're okay to be able to go into society. That's a very open-ended thing, which
Unless the government hires him.
right.
We'll
Like,
hire you if you can come out.
right. It's crazy, man. So it's a lot. It's a lot there, and I totally understand both. Everybody's perspective on this. Like me personally, I think that it's too long of a sentence, but mainly because there's no end to it. Like it's not like, well, we're going to give you 10 to 25. No, it's like we're going to give you life until we deem otherwise. So that's my take on it, and I think it's great to have different perspectives for sure. I love that. But what do you think about this? Leave us a comment down below. We read every single one of them. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button because you have found your home for common sense in the gaming and entertainment worlds.